There is a wet spot under my skid steer. Yeah, when I was bringing in these snowplow frames, I noticed the first time I parked, there was a drip there. I backed out and got the second plow frame and came in, and there's another drip there. Then the third one, I got a third drip, a little bit larger. That's not good. So I am trying to figure out how to find where the wet spot is coming from. I've got the arms in the air. I've got the safety lock in position here. So now it's supposed to be as simple as taking this nut off of either side, tilting the cab forward, and then I can look underneath of there. Well, this part isn't so simple. I need a 24 millimeter, and as you can see where it is sitting, I cannot get a socket in there. There's no room to get an extension down through there because of where that nut sits. I'm guessing the only thing is a wrench. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a 24 millimeter socket. I have a 22 and I have a 25, but no 23 or 24, and that's what it requires. So I do have a 24 wrench, so let me give that a try, see what happens here. That one wasn't on there tight. If I read the book correctly, I think it's supposed to be 125 foot-pounds, but that one was easy. Let me go to the other side. That one was on a little tighter, but still not that tight. Okay. And then I'm supposed to be able to pull on the front of the cab and it will tilt forward. Let's see how that goes. I think I need to gain a little more weight to pull that thing forward, but I got it. And now, trying to figure out where the leak is coming from. That will be the fun part. Okay, let me crawl under here and try to show you what I think the issue is. All right. This is the access panel right under the oil pan. See this, there's two steel lines here. Right there, those two steel lines run across here. I think they are leaking up here on the corner, and that's where that drip is coming down. There's a weep hole right at that corner where those lines go through. You can see the rusting right here on these lines. So I think what happens is dirt and mud gets up in there and builds up around those lines, and then it just sits there and rusts those lines out. And I don't see any easy way to get these things out of here. Hold tight. Okay, this is on the other side, and okay, let me get my light in here. You're not going to be able to see it, I don't believe, but down there in the corner, those steel lines come through here. One of them turns into a rubber line. Think this here, this rubber line here, somehow connects to that steel line. Now I just see a hose clamp on here. I don't know. I'm not sure which line is bad. My guess is I should go ahead and replace both of them while I'm here, because they're both rusty, both sitting in the same spot. I think the other line is that large one, that large steel line right there, but I can't be sure. It is hard to trace those lines because, as you can see, there's just not a lot of room there. So I'm gonna have to go to the parts diagram and figure this out. I just ordered a parts catalog when I went up to pick up my snow pusher. I like a paper parts catalog. It's a whole lot easier than looking on your phone, and I don't have a computer here at the shop. My computer, wow, that sun is bright coming in there. My computer is at home, so it's difficult to look on a phone to try to figure out a part. So I like a printed parts manual so I can go through and look at the diagrams, and it's just easier, in my opinion, to look parts up. And then when you're calling the dealer, trying to explain to them what parts you're looking for, I don't always call it the same part that the book calls it or the dealer calls it. So unfortunately, I don't have that parts catalog yet, so I'm gonna have to go and pull it up on the computer and figure out which one it is. They're not easy to get to from what I can see. I'm probably gonna have to pull a whole lot more off of there, but yeah, steel lines, this will be the second one in a couple of months, because you saw me replace the one on the Magnum tractor on the 7120. This machine is only 6 years old, but I think because of where it is and that mud and dirt getting up there and just sitting there under that plate, it just eventually is going to rust the line. All right, let me continue diagnosing this, try to figure out which one it is. Well, I have printed out the parts diagram for these lines. This line here, number 9, runs from the oil cooler up into the one of the valves. And then the second line runs from the oil filter down and around and into the pump. This is the supply line, and the other is the return line. So this at the end connects to just a rubber hose. So of course the parts breakdown doesn't really tell me how to pull it out of there. And as I started looking at it this morning, I thought, you know, this may require the motor to be pulled. So let me call a mechanic that works on these things and find out if there's any secrets to this job here. So I just got off the phone with the mechanic from Zimmerman's, who I bought the machine from. Very knowledgeable. He's done this before. He said the 2 lines that I'm talking about, he said one of them you can probably get away without pulling the motor, cutting the line out of there in pieces, replacing it with a rubber line. He said the other line, there's no option through Case to replace it with a rubber line. So that means the motor has to be pulled out of there in order to replace that line. And he said while he's in there, he said there's about 4 or 5 other lines, steel lines, that will probably go bad as well, and should probably replace those while you have the motor pulled and you can get to them. I'm not sure that I have the skill set to pull this motor out of here. So I asked the mechanic, how long will this take? He said, probably, if he were doing it, 8 to 10 hours to pull the motor out, another hour or 2 to wash it. Well, the machine is pretty clean, so that wouldn't be, you wouldn't have to spend too much time washing it. Then another, I think he said 6 to 8 hours to replace the lines, to pull them out and replace them. He said that is if there is availability, if they can even get the lines. And then another 8 to 10 hours to put the machine back together. So you're talking 30 hours to a week total, probably a week at the dealership to do this. Yeah, let me scratch my head over this one and figure out what I want to do. I could probably maybe get away with trying to replace it with a rubber hose. But again, I don't know, I cannot tell which line is leaking just by looking at it. When I came in this morning, I had a whole bunch of oil here that had come out. I've put oil dry on it now, but I had a whole puddle where it had leaked out of there. overnight. So this just started happening when I used it yesterday, because there is no oil in the barn where this was sitting, so it just started happening when I moved these snow plows, or these plow frames, yesterday. My guess is, as the mechanic asked me, is it chicken manure up there under those lines that has sat there and caused those lines to rust? That's probably the case, although looking at the machine, otherwise I don't see any indication of manure on it. So whoever had it before me, I think, did a pretty good job maintaining it. That's the only place right up under there. Okay, so you see this rust right here. So there's just a little bit of dirt up under there. But that stuff sits, yeah, I can see it. I can see it dripping right out of there now. I just can't quite see up in there to see which line it is, but these lines go across and then do a 90-degree to go up towards the pump. So yeah, there's enough stuff that sits up under here. There's a plate that goes here, and I guess it sits up under there, and it just starts rusting those lines out. All right, so that's where we stand with this. I've decided that I'm going to tackle this thing myself, and no, I'm not going to pull the engine out of here. That's not my game plan at the moment. These two lines down here that need to be replaced, what I'm going to do is try to replace them with a rubber line. I think I've got enough room to run them under there. That's if I can get the steel lines out. Well, I'm going to get them out one way or another. I'll cut them out if I have to. Right now, I've got a problem underneath of here, up under the oil pan, near the bottom of the fuel tank where it drains. There's a bracket. I've got one of them off. This bracket here screws down into the frame and holds those two steel lines on there. So this bracket was easy to get to. Well, I've got one more back the other way that it is difficult. I guess it is rusted up, although it looks like the threads on this one are a little worn. So it's not, I guess it's a machined piece of metal in there that was threaded that this goes into, and it's just not coming out easy. I've tried to put some heat on it, but because of where it is, I can't get direct heat on it, and if I get too much heat on it, it's going to get over to the fuel tank and melt the fuel tank. I've already bought, I broke one ratchet here, a 1/4 inch. That's all I can get up there, and it's got to be a flex ratchet, so I went and bought another one today. I've got about another 1/2 turn on it before it seized up again. That one is giving me a problem, and it has to come out of there in order to get those lines out. I can cut the lines on either side, but then I can't get them out of this bracket, and then this is going to be in the way of putting the hoses back in. I'm going to figure it out, because at 40 hours shop time at, what is the rate, $100, $150? I don't even know. At $150, that's $6,000. Even if I've got to go buy some tools, I think I can do it for less than $6,000. And if I fail at it, then we load it on the trailer, take it to somebody who can take that motor out of there. I've got to buy some stubby wrenches because these wrenches, to get down to that fitting down there, I don't have room to turn it. So I think if I have a stubby wrench, I might be able to turn it to break that line. Yeah, right on there. So maybe a stubby wrench, an angle wrench, something. I've taken 1 or 2 lines off of there to give me a little bit more room. That helped, but I can't get enough turn on it to break it free. So I'll continue working on that. But hey, tomorrow is boat moving day. So I've got the tractor out. I've got my mirror set up on here. And I guess I am I think I have 2 boats. That's what I was told. I've got 2 boats to move tomorrow. He's got 3 total. I think what he's doing is he's testing me on these 2 to see if I can get them moved and then backed into the shop before we go after the baby, which it's probably his baby, but it's not the baby. It's the biggest boat. That's the Redeemer. So I have not moved that one yet. That was already in the water in the spring. But I think his plan is to get it out of the water and put it in his shop so he can clean it up this winter. So I think he's going to test me first with the 2 smaller boats to see how that goes before we decide on moving the large boat or not. So that's tomorrow's project, to move 2 boats. But yeah, this thing here, I'm determined now that I'm going to do it. Okay, it's adult beverage time, so I'm going to say see ya. See ya.